Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. We're taking a different spin today. We're going live, and we're dealing with the shooting of E.J. Bradford, who was shot in a mall in Alabama, gunned down. I believe that he was shot down due to the fact that a black man with a gun, his father was a police officer, so it's in his blood to try to help others. Witnesses say that they saw him waving people out of the mall towards safety, but soon as that stigmatism of black thug amongst white America supremacist mindset saw this young black man with a gun and didn't hesitate to be the judge, the executioner. He was the jury. He decided the fate of this man's life within his own hands. So we're going to take you live so you can hear the press conference dealing with this right here on Verbal Pick Radio.
South Birmingham, Alabama, 3523-3 on November 30th, 2018. This forensic pathologist reviewed all medical...
You're listening to Attorney Benjamin Crump speak.
...from the scene of the death, as well as all the medical examiner's autopsy photographs. In addition to the in-person conference at the local medical examiner's office, this forensic pathologist directly observed the body of Emantic F. Bradford Jr. at Mullins Funeral Home, located at 2345 Bush Boulevard, Birmingham, Alabama, on November 30th, 2018. At this time, I will ask Attorney Barganier to assist me. And if we, Attorney, let's go to the third board.
Good morning. We're going to continue with the preliminary autopsy findings by our retained pathologist. We're going to talk about the evidence of injuries. There are 3 gunshot wounds of the head, the neck, and the torso. Head, neck, and torso. Now, the order that these injuries are described are not intended to establish a specific order of occurrence.
And as Attorney Barganier reads through the report, I'm going to show you exactly visual description of what the forensic pathologist concluded based on factual evidence. Go ahead, Mr. Barganier.
The gunshot wound to the head. The entrance was back of the right skull, right side of the head.
Mr. Barganier, if you look at this anatomical diagram, you will see the bullet wound is to the back of his head, right near his ear. What's significant about that is all 3 of the gunshot wounds came from the back, which would suggest that EJ was moving away, was running away at the time the police fired the shots at EJ. This is not to suggest that he was running from the police. Witnesses have verified that everybody was running from the gunshots. You hear gunshots, you get away from the gunshot, the scene where they're coming from. And there are many witnesses who also said that EJ was trying to help people also get away. So that's important to note. But this is the first wound we're describing, and it comes from the back to the head. Continue, Mr. Barganier.
The wound track, that is the path of the wound, is initially going through the skin, the soft tissue, skull, brain, and eventually there's an exit point above the left eye. And Ben, if you would kind of show on this one, this area right here.
This is real important to note the track of the bullet. It goes through his brain. It comes out right here, right above his left eye. It's from back to front, and it exits out of his forehead right above his left eye. It is very significant. Let me explain something else that we learned during this anatomical medical review that also Dr. Roger Mitchell discussed with the chief medical examiner. And that is the fact that you have this wound here, but you also have a wound right here above his right eye. And that is about to be made very clear to you why this is so significant. Because remember, his parents, witnesses, everybody thought that EJ was shot in the face. And so we're going to explain that in just a second with this next entry wound. Mr. Barganier?
Yeah, as Attorney Crump mentioned, the direction was back to front. But also, in addition to that, it was right to left. So back, moving towards the front, tracking from the right in a leftward pattern up until we get to this area right here. In addition, it's slightly upward. So it's tracking up. So it's going right to left, slightly upward. Gunshot wound to the neck.
Okay. Please read that aspect of it.
Entrance. Right side of back of neck at the base. Wound track that is.
So basically what they're saying is EJ was running and the officer who shot was behind EJ, shot him in the back of the skull, and the bullet went out through the brain. He's talking about now the bullet, he was shot in the back of the neck. Now, he's in the mall. Gunshots are fired. His father's a police officer. Instincts kicks in, and he's trying to guide innocent people out of the mall, meaning he's trying to play the hero. But what this case is really going to bear witness to is the stereotype or the mindset of the officer who did the shooting. It's bigger than this officer. Believe me, this thing is bigger than officer. Because it's dealing with a mindset that's in America today, dealing with young black men, and Hollywood plays a part in that. Some of these rap videos you can't be on, because symbolism is something. You can't put out a symbol stating that you are ready to shoot, or that you're coming like an army with your guns out. On these videos, YouTube videos, they film that. It sends the fear and shockwave throughout America, even though we know that you're not real gangsters. We can the ones that took the land from the natives now, those are real gangsters. But still, that imagery, that symbolism, and then you look at the training that the officers get, and they're always showing a situation that's being taken place in the hood. But you don't see those training videos in the trailer parks where crime is just as prevalent as it is in the inner cities of America. you got meth heads, drug dealings going on in rural areas and in trailer homes and in white communities. But since the police have a race relations, meaning that they're going to a community that looks like them, they tend to be more lenient when justice is blind. So you will see these situations play out because some, and I'm not saying all, but some officers don't see when there's a black male or female, mind you, involved. They don't see them as an equal or as a tax-paying member of this society, which tax dollars goes to pay their salary. They discount all of that, and they really on the defensive, and they quick to shoot without giving fair warning or investigating or giving them the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to get back to that, and this is being aired on WBRC Fox 6 News. That's WBRC Fox 6 News, and we'll continue.
The direction that the bullet was traveling is through the skin, soft tissue, vertebral bone, and right tonsil or throat area.
That is right here. The bullet never exited EJ's body. It was lodged near his tonsils in his throat. This was evidenced by the x-rays that were taken by the medical examiner of EJ's body after he had been mortally wounded. What is significant, the doctor opines based on the forensic evidence that all of these shots were potentially kill shots. The shot to the head that travels through his brain is a potential kill shot. The shot from the back of the neck to the right is also a kill shot. What is significant, as I said, about why we all assumed it was a wound to his face, Dr. Mitchell explained to the family that once he gets this shot here and coupled with the shot to the brain, it is suggestive that E.J. Bradford lost all control of his motor skills. And so he has this wound right here, and then he falls with dead weight, face forward. The bullet hits him in the back of the head, exits out the left side, believes it would slightly turn his head, and when he hits the ground, face forward, causing major trauma on this side of his face. So when you see him on the social media videos and he's face down with the blood pooling around his head, and you can see part of his face and it shows a gaping wound, that is what was explained to us why we may have been mistaken that he was shot in the face. But it is clear unequivocally, without any doubt whatsoever, E.J. Bradford Jr. was shot 3 times from the back while he was running away, while he was moving away from the police.
As Attorney Crump mentioned, again, the direction of travel of the bullet was back to front. But this one also, our retained doctor has opined, Dr. Mitchell, is that it was steeply upward. So that is, it's entering here, the base of the right part of the neck. It gets lodged in his right side of his throat, tonsil area, but it has to be steeply upward, according to our expert.
And after we go through the report, we will explain the significance of that with great specificity. And it is significant. Mr. Lee, let's go to the second. let's talk about the third shot.
Absolutely.
And Attorney Lee, as well as Mr. Bradford, both have police experience, and we will talk about that in the end when you hear from Mr. Bradford about the significance of that. The third wound.
Third gunshot was a wound of the back. Now the interest point is the right side of the hip area. The wound track, that is the path that the bullet is traveling, is through the skin, soft tissue, hip bone, abdominal contents, abdominal wall. The bullet was recovered, if you would, Attorney Crump, the bullet that was traveled from this area was recovered where you see that X lodged right there. That is in its belly area.
And you see that we know exactly where the entry wounds are and exactly where all the bullets either exited or became lodged. And this is because of the x-rays.
Again, a very, very good point. These were x-rays that our experts saw at the Jefferson County Coroner's Office, which showed post-mortem, which showed the bullet still being lodged in certain areas of EJ's body. Direction of travel, again, is back to front. So back, and it travels to the foremost or front part of EJ's body. And it's upward. It's traveling upward. You mentioned the laceration above the face.
Yeah, read that last part and then.
Sure. The laceration of the right side of the face at the eyebrow is consistent with falling face forward on the right side of the head.
This is the major trauma where he fell with dead weight forward, hitting his right side of his head. So he had serious trauma above his left eye and very serious trauma right above his right eye. And so right now we want to, I'll get that there. Let's get Mr. Bradford up here and Mr. Thomas. And we'll say just a few points before you hear from E.J. Bradford Sr. Make no mistake about it, the conclusions based on Dr. Roger Mitchell, who is a forensic pathologist who was retained by the family to do a preliminary anatomical review, concludes that the cause of death is gunshot wound to the head, neck, and back in the lower right hip region, and that the manner of death is homicide. This family was requesting equal justice for EJ. EJ for EJ. Now they are demanding equal justice for EJ after what has been revealed based on this forensic and objective science that is not debatable, that EJ was shot running away 3 times in his head, his neck, and his back. This family is demanding that whatever would have been done to EJ had he shot a police officer, that he gets the same due process of the law afforded to him. We believe, based on this forensic evidence, that this officer should be charged with a crime. There's nothing that justifies him shooting EJ as he's moving away from him. You're not a threat when you're running away. If that was anybody else who shot somebody 3 times in the back, it would be justified that they'd be charged with murder. So we wait for the officials to tell this family why this officer is going to be given
Benjamin Crump
any kind of different treatment than anybody else will be given who shot and killed a human being in such a reckless manner. We met with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency as well as the district attorneys, and they expressed to the family their heartfelt condolences, and they also expressed that they were going to work effectively and efficiently to get the truth out, to get all the answers out. They strongly encouraged us to ask, to beg, to plead any witnesses who were there at that mall to please come forward and give your firsthand account of what you witnessed on Thanksgiving night at the Hoover Galleria Mall when this Hoover off-duty police officer who was working private security for the Galleria Mall shot and killed E.J. Bradford Jr. as he ran away. On behalf of this father, this mother, and all their family, if you know something, come forward. So there will be no reason to withhold this investigation being concluded and all the videos being released so we can all see for ourselves what happened. But they have expressed to the family they want the witnesses to come forward before the video is released. So let's don't give any reason for delay of this investigation to be concluded. Reverend Jackson, I believe your mentor, Dr. Martin Luther King, said, justice delayed is justice denied. And with that, you'll hear from a very devastated father and uncle representing their family, Mr. Emantic Fitzgerald Bradford Sr.
As you can see, by looking at the autopsy report, what was transpired.
And Mr. E.J. Bradford Sr. has a unique perspective, not only as a father, but also as a correctional officer working with the Birmingham Police Department. And if you would proceed, Mr. Bradford.
Situation that happened is very wrong. EJ's mother and my wife, we never had a conversation with my son ever again. Many times that they talked. But as you see from the evidence, my son was not posing a threat. And if you walked up from behind my son, you should have gave him command, verbal command, drop the weapon. You shot him from the back, as y'all can all see. 3 times my son was shot. When you walked up on that person, he did not pose a threat to you. You could have taken him down without even having fired a shot. That's not proper police training. I don't know where he got it from, but that's not how Birmingham does it. You know, Hoover got their own set of training. Birmingham does theirs a different way. But that was wrong. My son was murdered by this officer, and that was cowardice. You shot a 21-year-old person running away from gunfire, never posed you a threat. Never had nothing in his hand. Why did you shoot him? You can't explain that to me because that ain't training. That's cowardice. You a coward. I'm telling you here on national TV across the country, you a coward as an officer. Where did you get that training from? What was going through your mind? You saw somebody running away, you just saw a weapon and you just fired. Open fire on a defenseless person. Defenseless. A bullet lodged in my son's throat. My son couldn't even scream for help. You think that makes me mad? Yeah, it pisses me off because I'm his father. What you have done was destroyed my family. His mother, my wife, his siblings. There's no justice if you get off with this. You will not get off with this. I will make sure. Whoever you need to do the right thing on this one. Because it's wrong. He needs to be charged with a homicide because that's exactly what it is. It's murder. As a parent, you can't clean that up. You cannot explain that to no one. How did you justify shooting my son? I'm not going to hold everything that you think you've done was right. You're wrong. And I hope you're watching this morning while you at home in the comfort of your home with your family. My son ain't going to walk through the door no more. He's never going to see his mother or my wife or his siblings. You need to think about that while you sit back on paid administrative leave. You're wrong. And I'm going to tell you like that. Whoever you need to do the right thing on this one. Because right now, as you can see, the facts speak for themselves. The whole country sees this. And I want y'all to understand that. The animosity that I have right now is eating me up. Laying down every night trying to call. I'm waking up in the middle of the night calling my son name, asking where he at. I did not sleep good last night. But when justice is served, then I'll sleep. But right now I'm not going to sleep until I get some peace. You will never have no peace until you are charged for a murder of my son.
Now
we'll hear from Mr. Anthony Thomas, the uncle of Emantic
of E.J.
Bradford
Bradford.
Jr.
We'll listen to the uncle, then we'll go into our tape. Just the uncle speaking of
My
E.J.
sister
Bradford.
wanted to come here today so bad, but I knew how graphic this was going to be. I told her I would step in for her, and I came to represent the day. I'm here to tell you, you coward, shot my nephew in the back 3 times. In the back. That was not Kool-Aid y'all mopped up off that floor over there. That was a part of me. Capital murder. That's capital murder. I don't care how you look at it, it's capital murder, and it ain't right. Heads got to roll from the top to the bottom.
Come on.
From the top to the bottom. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Get it right. Get it right.
Mr. Bradford, we'll try to take a few questions. Reverend Jackson, you and Pastor Mike. I know Attorney Barganier and Attorney Lee have the Alabama code that they know like the back of their hand. And Attorney Lee was a police officer for 13 years before he...
We're not going to go into all that. We finna get into the tape because now for once, you see black men standing strong with power saying we not taking this shit no more. Fed up with it. Man, I see some saying that the father said that he died and he didn't have anything in his hand. Meaning then that he's running away and the officer saw a gun. He didn't brandish the gun, from what I can tell. Either he's running away and they saw his shirt came up and he saw a weapon or whatnot, or from the side and whatnot as he's running away. And he decided, and it seems like the way the bullet was traveling, that the officer, security officer, police officer got on one knee, took a position and started firing at him. without any questions, without meaning when you playing in the game of life, there is no way you can say, well, I thought doesn't matter in this. I thought does not play out well. Hey, we all thinking something. When you saw that gun, why didn't you think maybe he could be undercover? Maybe he's an officer undercover. He has a gun. You know what? I thought, people think a lot of things, but now we deal with the evidence. That's why I say every black person has to be their own lawyer, meaning that you have to study the facts and the evidence, and you stand on that and you make them prove you wrong. Do not go in there with speculations, because that's what they're waiting for. Be your own lawyer. Study. Look at the evidence. That is so important in today's times. If you're going to protest on facts. Wait till now you got the facts. The fact is this man was running away in a chaotic situation. Witnesses even said that they saw him waving people to run in the opposite direction of where gunshots was heard. An officer, and this is sad because, come on, man, let's deal with the elephant in the room. Man. There has never been respect for black men by white men who has the supremacist racist mindset. I don't want to say all white men, because not that I've been convinced, but I hear so many black people saying, no, there are some good white people in this world. So, okay. And they say that they met some and they have friends who are cool and what. So and it comes from people that I trust. So if you say that, then okay, let's deal. So we're not going to say all white people, but we're talking about the mindset that some white people have when dealing with the black male. And we're going back in history. It seems like that stain can't be washed out of their mental fabric when dealing with black men and black women, mind you. Sandra Bland. So when we have evidence that he was shot 3 times in the back, the father called him a coward. Uncle called him a coward. The father of E.J. Bradford is a police officer. He's saying in Birmingham, that's not the practice of police officers. That's not the proper training. It's not how you handle the situation. And then Hoover, he said, I don't know how y'all train these officers, but we need to deal with this. Heads need to roll from the top down to the bottom. Because this situation is a stance. It's a historic moment. Because the evidence and the facts are there. Now we get to see Lady Justice. Is Lady Justice white? Is Lady Justice black? Or is Lady Justice just blind and deals with the facts? That's what we want to know. Because if for some reason they squander out of this one and lets the officer go, something's wrong. That's why one thing you have to realize, parents, don't get emotional first. Do not, if anything, God forbids, ever happens, do not get emotional. Go deal with the facts. Look at the situation. Check the pockets. And the reason being is because they'll try to say that, well, they found a stolen item in his pocket with a price tag on it. And that means he stole it. So 13th Amendment, you lose your right because slaves was granted freedom. But if they was convicted of any crime, they go back to slave status and now they have no rights. You got to do all that. I mean, you cannot take it for granted that they'll have your best interest in heart. Because one, they're going to protect their own first. We got to stop with the BS and deal with what's real. And white people, you have to stop with when you say things like, he was a thug. without any merit, right? Just go out and just say what it is, man. Just say, look, man, I see all black men as thugs, and in America, I'm white. We're going to treat all black men as thugs. Just this deal. Put it on the table. You don't have to squander and hide and play the games. Just straight up stick your chest out and say what you really mean. And deal. Let's put it, what I always say on this show, Verbal Pick Radio. Everything's out in the open, like the song says. Everything's out in the open. There's nothing left to hide. We dealing with things today. So deal with it. Evidence. Shot the man 3 times from the back area. Bullet went through the back of the skull and came out the front and went through the brain. Shot him in the back of the neck. How can you justify that? Now, mind you all, he had a right to carry. He had a concealed weapons permit. I done been in HEBs, Kroger's, and saw white men with guns holstered on their side, and you can see the gun walking around, just walking with the gun on. Now black people see that, and we hey, that's his right. But when white people see a black male with a gun holstered on his side, it's like, what's going on? What are you doing? Who gave you that right to carry that gun? It's like, that's the law. What are you talking about? If you mean to tell me, look, if the law don't apply to me, then what you taking my tax dollars for? What are you talking about? Why my money going to fund racists that'll shoot me down in the street and I don't get no justice, man? Are you crazy? It just doesn't add up like that. Especially in today's time. Come on. Now, true, a lot of people have to get out of the 1800 mindset. Hey, that's how it always been in America, and black man got to keep his head down so he don't offend a white person and mess around and lose his life. That's dead. Look at me. As long as that sun shines on God's merit, the white man don't make the sun shine. White man don't make the sun set at all. That's God's doing. So, but power, what power? Is every walking creature all walking up under the same sun, moon, and stars? Is people able to enjoy the sun and the energy that it brings and the vitamins that it gives? The sun don't say, well, look here, I tell you what, I'm going to just shine on white people, and I'm not going to give my sunlight to any black, brown, minority, indigenous people. And some are indigenous. Look, if you are an indigenous person, we all know that all races started in Africa. You came out of an African. We know that. But these third generation pale indigenous people who turn their backs on their dark-skinned great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers, ashamed of them, and try to hide so you can fit in some white supremacist racist narrative thinking you're going to be accepted. Guess what? They don't like you either. So stop playing the game. Everything is out in the open. It's time to deal with it. We all adults. We all have our critical thinking skills or our critical thinking caps on, and let's deal with the facts with this case, because this case, cases like this is bigger than the case, even though we hurt for the family. But cases like this speak not just in Alabama, it speaks down to Houston, California, New York, because the element and the energy of racism is so thick in this country. and it never been addressed. Now, the only one that's addressing it properly and that's not afraid to put the facts out is Brother Farrakhan. Put the facts out and lay it on the table. White folks, you got to listen. You got to listen to Brother Farrakhan and deal with the facts. Got to listen, because you are jamming yourself up on an illusion, which later on you'll be seen as psychotic. Some already see you as psychotic because of the way you think. The mindset is not justified. There's no mathematical or scientific proof to prove the mindset. So you reacting on fantasy, and you trying to make fantasy real, and then you trying to make the people that you perpetrate your fantasy on to adhere to your fantasy, and you want them to make your fantasy real, which will make them crazy if they do. So it don't add up. Verbal Pick Radio. Look, before we go, verbalpickradio.com, hit the shop button. Check out Everyday People, the movie, part 4. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy part 1, 2, and 3 as well. It's on YouTube. Everyday People, THE, the movie. Watch it, enjoy it. Stay tuned. You know how we do it on Everyday People. You know how we do it on Verbal Pick Radio. We do what we do, and we're out.